Sometimes people will say to me, they'll be like, oh, Trev, you lucky, you got out. Oh, you got out, bro, you're lucky. First of all, I didn't get out. You make it sound like I escaped. I left to go and work. I always come back. People are like, you got out, right? You got out. Make it like I was in the plane, like, go, go, they're coming. Don't let them see me. Go. I love this country. I love South Africa more than anything in the world. It's in my bones. It's in the way I was raised. It's in the languages I speak. And I'll be honest, nothing makes me sadder than the way some people talk about the country. I don't judge them, by the way, because I understand. But, you know, like sometimes people will walk up to me and they think it's going to be like something we'll share. They'll be like, oh, Trevor, South Africa it's terrible. It's the worst country in the world. Huh? Ah, Trevor, this country is rubbish. It's the worst. It's terrible. There's nothing worse than this. I'm like, look, I understand that you're frustrated, but like, be mindful of your words. This is far from the worst country in the world. It's far from it. Right? If there's one thing I hope people would realize is when you give up, that's when it truly fails. Right? It is not the worst country in the world. In my opinion, it is a great country that's going through one of the worst periods in its time. There's a difference. You can have a great country going through a bad time. It doesn't mean that it's now a bad country. We've got so many things to hope for. We've got so many things to work for, people. Are you kidding me? And then people will come to me, they'll be like, yeah, but Trev, it's easy for you to say, bro, but look at the looting and the riots. Yeah, guys, there's looting and riots in every country around the world. It happens when there's a lack of service delivery. You will see it anywhere. America was burning down at some point. Paris is burning every few weeks. Huh? Every few weeks. Have you seen them? And the French are angry. Petrol bombs everywhere. J'ai trop de pâtes de croissant dessus. Allez de quoi de la merde. C'est trop du futur. Yes, I know they also loot and riot in South Africa, but at least here in South Africa, when they loot, they smile. That way I know it's not personal. They're shaking things up. One of my favorite lootings I ever saw was on the news. There was this guy who looted a TV. He looted a TV, guys. And it was a short guy, and he was running with the TV, and he was like, yeah, yeah. And you could see he was having the best day ever. Yeah. And while he was running with the TV, another guy came who was bigger than him and grabbed the TV. And he was like, And then the big guy took the TV. And then he ran away with it, gone. And this little guy, I've never seen a human have so many emotions in 30 seconds. Yeah. 30 seconds earlier, this guy was in heaven. He was there running with his new TV like, yeah, where's the police? 30 seconds later, he was like, where's the police? I'll take it any day of the week. People be like, yeah, you know, you say that, Trevor, you say that. You say that. Yeah, but what about the crime? What about the crime, Trevor? Huh? Yes, I admit it, the crime is terrible. It's out of control. We have to do something about it. We have to fight against it, you know? But the thing that gives me hope is that it's a problem that has a solution. Economists have shown time and time again around the world that when there's a high rate of crime, it is often tied to a high rate of unemployment. And so if you work to fix that unemployment, you are then solving the problem of crime. They've shown this time and time again. It is not an easy problem to fix, but it is fixable. People are like, yeah, but you're in America, bro, you're lucky. You know, you don't even have crime. It's like, okay, first of all, there is crime. And second of all, there's something else that we don't have in South Africa, mass shootings. Yeah, that's the craziest thing ever. Just randomly, you're in a room, in a public space, anywhere. Someone comes in, giant gun, starts shooting. 10 people, 20 people, 50 people, 100 people, dead. Why? Nobody knows. Imagine that. Now you're dead. You don't know why. Just getting into heaven. I know they're both terrible, guys, but for me, I'll choose crime, No, because even with crime, at least there's a moment where I know there's hope, where I can be like, okay. But let me take my SIM card and delete my browser history. I'll choose South Africa any day of the week. These are things I think about. I have to think about them. Because now I've lived in America for so long that they say that soon I'm going to be given a US passport. Right? You say woo because you don't know what it comes with. Tandaga, be clapping already. Yay! Didn't even ask about terms and conditions. Because I read the terms and conditions of having an American passport. There are many things that I don't like. First and foremost, I will have to be subject to the American legal system. Yeah, I'm not enthusiastic about that, I'm not gonna lie. Because I never planned to do anything wrong in America. But in the back of my head, I always thought if something was to be done by me, I felt good knowing they would have to deport me. They would be like, you're guilty, you're deported. And I'll be like, no. And then I'll come home and be like, Maracas, you must know, must. South Africa, you guys know, must. You know what happens sometimes, man, you never know. Why did Rihanna leave her iPhone like that? No, but I seriously don't want to be involved in the American justice system. Because they say it's justice, but it's terrifying. You don't know how they'll treat you. You don't know why they'll treat you. The scariest part for me is what happens in courts. Because they have a jury system in America. I'm terrified of that. Terrified of it. For those who don't know, I'm sure you've seen it on TV, but for those who don't know, the American system is very different to the South African one. In South Africa, you have the judge, you have the prosecution, and you have the defense. Right? That's who your case is working with, and the judge decides. The judge has studied, they're learned, they know what's going on. And you can talk to them on their side. I'm joking. But I like knowing that person had to go to school to figure out whether I broke the law. In America, it's a different system. They have a judge, they have a prosecution, and they have a defense, but they also have a jury. A jury. 12 people who are randomly gathered, randomly picked, who decide your fate. These people do not need to have studied the law. They don't need to understand the law. They don't even need to have watched Law and Order. Now they're deciding your fate. Clan, clan. I don't want that in my life. Yeah, I don't want that, and I don't want to be on a jury either. That's what comes with getting an American passport. You now have to be on a jury. I don't want to be on a jury. You know why? Because I'm South African. Yeah, and you're probably wondering, what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. I read the rules of being on a jury, and I realized South Africans can never be on a jury. Yeah, because there's certain rules when you're on a jury. One of the most important rules right at the top of the list is if you are on a jury, if you're serving on a jury, you may not express your feelings or emotions about anything that is happening during the case. You may not talk about it, and you may not, during the case at any time, on the trial, you may not on the bench, you may not say anything. Anything, yeah, when the jury is standing, like you can't express, you can't do anything. South Africans, immediately disqualified. You tell me which South African is gonna be able to sit there during a trial, hiding all their emotions. Which South African? That case is gonna be going on. Bah, bah. Prosecution can start. Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this man burned down his home for the insurance money. Bah, bah, bah. Order, order. The jury shall be silent, completely silent. Oh, sorry. You insurance, you. Mr. Michaels, where were you the night of the fire? I was walking. I wasn't at my house. You weren't anywhere near the house? No, I wasn't. Then tell me, Mr. Michaels, why did your clothes smell like gasoline? I didn't talk. And can you imagine a South African jury deciding your case? You would never know which way the verdict would go. The judge would be there. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, have you got your verdict? We have, Your Honor. How do you find? We find the defendant guilty. Okay, and why is that? He didn't greet. Yeah, he just came in here. Well, nothing, no greeting, nothing. Yeah, magahambe.